For our lovely full moon, your 5D Mystic Enlightenment Functional Adult Woo Woo Suro Science Lady podcast host has some lovely messages. This is for my solo polyamory community, monoamory, and overall polyamory community too. So when we discuss what it is to be a person who either is healing their trauma or has healed, okay, we know that you know how to turn knowledge into wisdom from your divine feminine and your divine masculine. It's called integration of the brain. So you have a solid foundation to yourself. And you are loyal to what you love. You're loyal to being a person who's decent. Okay. So you know that if for any reason there was a shame cycle, there are still trauma charges, things lingering, that there's a rebirth for you as you embrace healthy self worth, securely attached people in your life. Okay. That is why we give with grace, gratitude, generosity, but we don't use those words. We know that being a generous of spirit, is what the true spirituality journey is all about. Living a life of meaning and life beyond the solo self. Daniel Siegel is the one who told me about this definition as he got invited to a spirituality conference. And he's like, but I'm a science person. And he, though, teaches about me, differentiated self Maria, plus you when I link. And that means that I get to see the sense of self that you bring. Now, what's beautiful is when you meet healthy self worth men, in my case, and women, of course, for those who are also interested romantically. Okay, so a man who's hiding himself from me is not going to be a conscious lover. They're going to be a maladaptive child, inner person. That means they don't know how to stay open hearted. So they're not actively aware of their self, the core content, shame, blame, fault, or revenge. So they might have split thinking or black and white thinking, which is envy, jealousy, negativity, extremes. I'll never be with anyone. And I see this all over the place. Okay. So that in between, they don't bring to the table of a relationship the conversation of their catastrophizing, of any of it. But a healthy self worth person will not be attacking them either. So they will have the opportunity to share their thoughts if they choose to open up. Okay. And so that's where you learn from the past in many different ways. And in this case, the past of a person who has an inner child that has shame. And the best friend of shame is guilt. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Fox. And as he calls it, the core content then comes up as surface content. And when people have, let's say, it's addictions, let's say it's narcissism and malignant, let's say it's grandiosity, let's say it's in the case of bipolar, we have also where they can be so empathic, but they're always thinking of it as a negative. So if it's a negative thing that they pick up on, usually they're spot on. But if it's something positive or neutral, they're going to be negative about it. And that's because when you learn enough, I'm attachment trauma informed. It's because the 0 1 year old and the 3 to 7, they were not in an emotionally available, secure environment. The part of the brain and psychoeducation is to say to people, you're not fucked up. Nobody is. Nobody's fucked up. Nobody's broken. Nobody needs fixing. There's, at most, I like the word recalibration, because your dysregulated nervous system is coming up, and it's in fact in its sympathetic, which is why you're in a safety behavior. You have fight, flight, fright, flop, drop, freeze, and you have others they have found recently, thanks to my NICABM.com trauma courses. It's please, appease, attach, cry, collapse, submit. So those are safety behaviors, translated nervous system. Furthermore, Stephen Porges, as he presents, any person in their biological rudeness will not have ears to hear. Okay, so they're not learning from their past. They are living their inner child past. And as Patrick Tiahan, childhood trauma survivor, healed and healing, and therapist, I always say healing because I don't know his full story, but as he shares, when your inner child isn't reparented and you're not the adult there, the inner child is the expert on the past, but they're going to project it. And whatever happened at your home, you're going to bring it to others. Terry Real, your unfinished business, you bring it to a partner. He's actually sharing and or doing a course on NICABM, I might get it, on how to handle narcissism and grandiosity. He talks a lot about it. He's a great therapist and helps people that don't know how to love themselves first, like Patrick Tiahan, how to get there. I know how to love myself first, and any person who has The whole 3-year-old heart and did not get ruptured will know this too. So we love all people. In fact, men, women, days. We love to be around each other. We overflow with humanity. Thank you, said Guru. And that means divinity descends. It's not divinity as in the sense of a god. No, that's for other groups of people. 5D mystic here. Enlightenment soul age group functional adult. Not talking about anything religious when I use that word. None of it. It's dark matter, dark energy. But I integrate spirituality and human elements, which are subject matters, okay? And I don't use words like dictionaries. Okay, so, and this is also messages, channel guidance, full moon. So you don't act as if you're beautiful. You know you are, like everybody else is. And I know the lighting isn't as perfect as it could be, but it's okay. It gives it some type of ambiance. Actually, I like it better for the full moon. So, life, we don't want it to speed up. We want it to slow down. But it can move into what you're wanting, right? When you're going with that flow, when you believe in yourself, when you're able to have fun, like this lovely little squirrel. And you make your dreams come true. Like a spider, you web your lovely life. And we're going to finish with this one. Bring a gentle touch. And that's where we are. So you're building relationships at this point with yourself, healthy self-worth, and with the people around you. So it's not cancel culture. It's conversations. If you have individuals who have maladaptive child behavior, you know how to handle them like a Pacha handles a Cusco, which is not by shaming, blaming, faulting, revenging, none of that. Those are codependent, low self-esteem, indirect communicators. They are passive aggressive and they don't know that they are in their maladaptive child behavior. Doesn't matter what spectrum of whatever it is that somebody wants to bring into the mix. I know that there's something called you being able to be aware of your mood, of your words, and of what you're doing. Because even if it's not in that instant, when you're interacting with me, you will think about it later. So if you're a person who is wanting to be your whole inner child, you're going to notice. And the whole inner child is I want to create connection beyond the solo self. And that person is a part of my herd. She's a human. He's a human. They're a human. I'm going to be a decent human. And I'm not going to use my cultural bias, religious bias, my implicit bias, my I don't like it. She looked at me weird, my teenager attitude from Mean Girls. Seriously. I mean, I wasn't that, but I did do the thing called gossip with one of my friends. And that's where I learned a lesson. Every time I got to learn a lesson. So here's what happens when you're consistently Purusha, pure consciousness, unconditional love. Prakriti, pure energy. It's your 3-year-old. Mine didn't get ruptured. No shame, no guilt button, none of that. Love button and angry button, which comes up with the mother and the twin. It's not anger. It's just the 3-year-old who says, I don't want to do it. And I'm learning still. So there you go. Physical mastery. It comes in time. So my nervous system got lucky. And if I'm around people who are unsympathetic and they're getting angry, I don't want to be around them. I don't want to be around a sympathetic nervous system because my inner child is like, oh, she's scary. He's scary. They're scary. I don't want to be here. They're uncomfortable. It's getting really uncomfortable now. I can't have fun. Seriously, I'm not even kidding. So when people are like, fear is your dominant emotion, it seems, or it seems you avoid things. Yeah, you know what? Both are fine. I'm going where I can have fun. I want to build snow people. No, I want to build mer people where it's warm. That's where I want to go. Okay, so we don't act as if we're happy. We are happy. We're okay with people who say you want to avoid certain things. Yes, 24 hours. That's all I got. I'm going to spend it with the people who are enlightening because some of us don't have laundry here. We know how to stay on a high, and it's a real high. It's a high of a 3-year-old. Okay, so healthy self-worth plus secure attachment plus always on love, not anything else. So you poke me, I'm tickled. But that's because you're also open. Okay, so if your sense of self wants to have a true relationship with another person, that will mean you differentiate. And it's like, oh, I got thoughts and feelings. Oh, that other person has thoughts and feelings. They don't have to match at all. And we want to take care of our health in a moderate way. So no addictions, none of that stuff that's bad for you in a way that is bad for you. And that's the part of where I know there are people who are fond of those specific types of substances and whatnot. And as I was learning from Dr. Daniel Fox, again, he has some great content. Look him up on YouTube. There's a way to support people from that addiction stuff if they want to get to their best version, which really, if you're a common sense person, you're going to know, okay, yeah, I want to get out of this stuff because I'm going to get older. And if it's self-soothing, which is what it is, according to our lovely new attachment again and trauma educational stuff, you don't have to go blaming any entity. You don't have to think of any entity taking over anyone, because we have neuroscientist Patrick McNamara explains the fear receptor and how your brain's trying to heal from trauma charges, trauma memory. And I learned all about it. Okay, so building those safe haven, secure based relationships. A person who was used to, in their past, having a dysregulated relationship will feel a basically unhealthy self-worth partner as home. They will feel that a person who treats them like a piece of shit like home. And if they know about good trauma information, they'll notice that and be like, wait a minute. Nah, okay, I'm going to become a whole human, get my inner child here and do that emotional awareness, accountability, self-regulation, and get that, chit chatter, be quiet inner family. Dr. Daniel Fox, he calls it that. Others, they just call it, the inner critic or outer critics or shame cycle. So a person who has learned enough about good attachment trauma, and they take a good look and they do open that third eye, because the third eye is intrapersonal introspection. You don't want it blocked. Everyone who has it blocked that I've met, I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's all the spiritual bypass people. They have not actively noticed that there's an inner child looking for them because they don't believe in, I don't know. I don't know if they haven't come across. Some have not come across it. Others, they don't believe in it. They believe humans suck, men suck, and women suck. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so with this lovely full moon, I'm going to say, my lovely 5D collective, beautiful IHP community, all people are beautiful. When you welcome yourself back home and yourself, that's when we get to build the beyond solo self community, which is already being built. But we want to offer safe haven, secure base homes for those people who want to build truly intimate relationships. Those who do will consistently communicate all of what is happening. They will not be coming in and out. People who are still on the fear spectrum, they don't choose to stick around, and that is not for us to do anything about, because we are not here in a way that can affect another person's state of consciousness. Sadhguru will share, we're not here to affect, and he shares it as a spirituality guru, as a person who's consistently related to Akash in a way of belief. I am in a way of, I can understand my mysticism, perceive, experience it, and explain it. And that's because I bring sciences too. And I know they look into the relational field. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel. I know the physicists, they call it the hard problem of consciousness. They talk about our consciousness, the secondary consciousness, knowing that you live and die as something that is a dilemma. It's not a dilemma for those who have the inner growth mindset. It's a condition. And you do inner growth. So your mind is everything, because that's exactly where you begin to say, oh, hold on, I'm telling myself a story and I got some emotion coming up, and the story and the emotion say, blah. Hold on. Why blah? Peter Levine. Every sensation you feel, it begins. The last 3 months in the fetus matter, but anyways, we'll go from when you're birthed. So every sensation has a reason. And then every image. And so every affect, meaning, behavior, these are the acronyms for what can come up as you are experiencing life. And so sensations and images, particularly as trauma memory gets unlocked, which is why you want to do mindfulness meditation and anything yoga related with people who work with good therapists and or are attachment trauma informed, or at least you work yourself. You have a good network. If you don't, reach out. I'll give you my contacts, okay? But the part about the holistic community, those of us who are spirituality, we bring sciences because if we care truly about anything, and see, for me, Jesus is my spirituality go-to. I'm a human. He walked with people. That's it. And then I got more informed. Personal development, self-help. It's how can I help you to be yourself? Well, using your mind and using your heart and using your body. And now I'm just that much more in depth of an informational person. And with the channeled guidance, again, it's a relationship. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, but it is not needing to be romanticized or made into a story. There's no need for a story when you have what is called, in my book, true faith. To me, God has always been the essence of love and life, which is what every person breathes. It makes me laugh when people seem to not remember one thing. Anything that happens in the mind's eye, this is why I'm okay with woo-woo pseudoscience. It happens in your imagination land. Okay, so I'm grounded. My name's Maria. I know my age. It's 2024. If you tell me that what we see in our mind's eye is truer than, what I can learn in a textbook or out there, I'm going to be, okay, pseudo aliveness, number one, fantasy land, number two, which is why when people tease me about my downloads and my dreams and everything that I do know is true, but I also know this and that are true, which is why the Enlightenment Soul Age group is not about laundry. We're actively people who are like, yep, both can be true, which is why people who don't know how to use that uncertainty in the right mode and to have two opposing ideas be there and be having fun with it, because you're like, yeah, I don't know everything. This is the marriage to Shiva that I hear Sadhguru talking about. It's simply an integrated brain, my lovely listeners. Restorative embodiment, integration of the brain. It's called your inner child home, first of all. You, the grown up, in the forefront, and your nervous system and ventral vagal having fun. So when people do want to, one, heal trauma seriously, they love to have people that are healthy self-worth. They don't kick us to the curb, and they don't have indecision. That's it. If they're still afraid of themselves, you leave it alone, because that means that they're still confused, which also means they're going to project. That's what people do when they don't have a clear visual on their third eye, which is, I come from a home, there's enough attachment trauma information, nobody's fucked up, nobody is abnormal, normal. We don't need to use the word, but if we do want to use the word, the mammalian heritage is what is the norm, because our species got into our lovely ventral vagal when we got to sit around each other. Now people want to use, again, those stories. The stories are for 4D, 3D. And they're spiritual bypassers, mantles of yogas, and mantles of mental health. That's what I call them, because they don't stay grounded in reality. In fact, they are in the pseudo-aliveness. Because the minute you want to tell me one is truer than the other, and I can present to you a buttload of experts that tell me exactly how they are doing their quantitative data, which I won't do. This is the minute that I just know I'm not doing it. So like I said, you're going to build relationships as this full moon comes forth with the people who are open to being in our lovely 5D collective. I didn't actually think the 4D would stick around because they are part of the same energetic sphere. I know them, but then again, their third eye is blocked. They're on Elsa's journey, and they keep on wanting to compete with sciences or spirituality, so they're still going to stay in that split thinking. Never, ever, ever could I ever. And I call them the human suffering love narrative. So come join us over here. This full moon brings clarity to every person who's in this lovely, it's going to be a fun ride for us. And that's something sad for me to share when I say this, because the human suffering love narrative group, they're people who are going to have a herd. They always will. Every one of us has a herd. They have their ethical culty cults, all that stuff, right? They have traditional cults. They have that ancient silverback. They have the grandiose person who's going to pull wool over their eyes. There's the love dependent, love avoidant. There's the toxic, low self-esteem group. We're going to cancel all of that. Conspiracies, you name it, but they will have a group. Flat earthers are a group too, right? So in their group, they're going to be happy and dandy, and that's why it's not sad. But when I say sad, what I'm saying is inside, there's your 1-year-old or 3-year-old won't be completely seen, because human suffering love narrative, they have a story. The story is there's a superhero and a supervillain. So in that story, there's always something that has to be sacrificed, which is not the case. In the human love narrative, we have the knowingness, as the feminine does, that there's a lot of different masculine energies. When I learned this from this rabbi, he said, I think it's like 36 in the Kabbalah or something like that. And the feminine is what grabs all of the masculine and is able to limit, because otherwise the masculine keeps wanting to expand, but they do it in a way, I forget exactly how he says, it's something like they don't have form, right? And then this matches with Shiva and Kali, if I remember correctly from Sadhguru's story. So long story short, the feminine will have everything enclosed, which he uses certain words like restrict, which I feel is not an accurate way to say it, but I understood what he's saying is the feminine will give shape, will make it tangible. And it's funny that he mentions that, though, because when it comes to the mystic community, they talk about the masculine, the divine masculine, or masculine being the go-getter, the doer. And the energy, instead of the way that the rabbi explains it and Sadhguru, now that I think about it. So I'm going to leave it alone because now I'm philosophizing, because because at the end of the day, you got both divine feminine, divine masculine. So, divine feminine, I share it's your body, divine masculine is your mind. The masculine is the left mode, the chit chatter verbal part, the feminine is the right mode. Again, these are not rules, these are Maria, content creator, sharing with her community. The ones who follow and do inner growth, okay, how I use the words, and I might forget, I might reorganize. That's why you just need to every time listen. It might be different. Um, but the feminine and masculine, I don't think so, because that there's a reason for it. So you will be whole by the time you're getting here, and that would mean that you know unconditional love at the very least for yourself, if not also for others. No, you have it both ways. If you have it for yourself, you have it for human beings, because you're going to know I have a body, they have a body. I have a mind, they have a mind. I will go through my subjective experience as a differentiated self, so will they. I love, accept, and respect. Nobody's evil, Knievel, medieval. If there's a scale, it's the Michael Stone. They all need good therapists. So no mantles of mental health. No demons needing, we don't need to use those words. That's not the 5D collective. We use other words. They use their name. That's why there's no race, there's no saga, there's no drama. People are people. They make choice points. If you get afraid and you don't talk to me, you get afraid, you don't talk to me. If you talk to me, you talk to me. And if you don't know how you are doing here and you haven't gotten caught up with all the great information out there, that means you're not interested in it. So again, mantles of mental health, they weaponize psych education and they call each other names. They go out there and they be martyrs and superiors. I see them. And they're usually spiritual bypassers. They're the ones who think of themselves in a certain way. And I'm being given the cue. So I'm learning Akash. Okay. So thank you. All my okay, it's seriously, speak your truth as what I'm going to say with love and kindness. Have a okay. Have a great full moon. I don't want to cut it, so I'm going to say bye. Like, subscribe, tune in, all that good stuff. Have a great full moon, everyone.